Content warning. The following video contains material that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Got you looking in the shadows, see it creep. We are the shadow, I should way too deep. Your face on the loose, hit list seal. We're facing real meal, just a scholar with a range of sound. We're real and the mercy, murder sound. Ain't mercy, Jack. See ya, shovel, burning in that fire. Leave the kids alone, buried in the mire. Lock you up forever, pay for your sin. Wood chip awaits, this is the end you'll spin. Your lives unraveled, under our gaze. Rather than caught off a wicked maze. Your burdens unclear, society draped in a truly fear. Religious fear back, friends and walls closes my fade to black. See ya, shovel, burning in that fire. Leave the kids alone, buried in the mire. Lock you up forever, pay for your sin. Wood chip awaits, this is the end you'll spin. You won't ever escape. Justice like thunder, sealing your fate. Oh, warning to all our children, you'll not touch. Your downfall is here, it's the final touch. See ya, shovel, burning in that fire. Leave the kids alone, buried in the mire. Lock you up forever, pay for your sin. Wood chip awaits, this is the end you'll spin.
Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
A mother in Beaver County is in jail accused of live streaming threats to harm her 8-year-old son who has a disability. An acquaintance of the woman says she called police after seeing the live stream and began to fear what might happen.
KDKA's Shelley Bort spoke with her today and has that story new at 5.
After reviewing that video, police went straight to McDermott's home and arrested her after allegedly refusing to let them inside. Tonight, she's behind bars here at the Beaver County Jail, facing multiple charges.
I feel like stabbing him to death.
That's Valerie McDermott, the Aliquippa mom who live streamed specific ways she wanted to harm her 8-year-old son who is disabled. We're only showing brief clips of the video because it is extremely hard to watch.
This is how I feel. I just want to shut the up.
On Monday, Aliquippa police say they received multiple calls about McDermott's Facebook Live. It wasn't until this woman sent the video to officers that they responded to McDermott's home.
So you believe that if you did not call police, that she may have followed through with her threats?
Yes. Yes, she would have, and that's why we all called.
According to police paperwork, when officers went to the 42-year-old mother's home, she refused to open the door. Officers were able to force their way in a side door and arrest McDermott. Police said they found the home in deplorable condition and her nonverbal child dressed in dirty clothes with a full diaper.
Like, you guys don't even understand how psychopathic I get.
Alyssa McHenry has known McDermott for 15 years and said just 2 weeks ago she had to call police in Ohio because McDermott allegedly left her son in the car while she was shopping inside a store.
She needs mental help. She don't necessarily need to be sitting in the jail because that's not going to help her. She needs to go to a mental hospital and get help. That kid deserves better than her.
We're told the child is now with his grandmother. McDermott's preliminary hearing is set for February 28th. Reporting outside of the Beaver County Jail, Shelley Bortz, KDKA TV News.
And a substitute teacher in Beauregard Parish is accused of sending inappropriate pictures to a child. The Beauregard Parish Sheriff's Office says they got a call yesterday from a parent. The investigation led deputies to 31-year-old Carmen Hunt. She's charged with 1 count of indecent behavior with the juvenile. The Sheriff's Office confirmed Hunt was a regular substitute teacher at Beauregard Parish schools. We've reached out to the school board for comment and more information.
An assistant referee is due to appear in court charged with a child sex offence in relation to a girl aged between 13 and 15. Gareth Vickers, who has officiated in EFL and FA Cup matches, appeared in Willesden Magistrates Court last week, has been remanded in custody. Vickers will enter a plea at Snaresbrook Crown Court on March the 3rd. It's understood the 46-year-old has not officiated this season. Referees governing body the PGMOL told Sky Sports News as soon as the allegations came to light, Mr Vickers was immediately suspended. As the matter is the subject of an ongoing police investigation, we're not in a position to comment any further.
Well, a man accused of possessing child pornography is walking free today after spending over a decade in jail with no trial.
Our WTOC Investigates team has been looking into how this happened and why experts are saying this case is a grave injustice.
Our Shay Schrader joins us now live in the WTOC studio. And Shay, John Bailey spent almost 13 years in jail and was never found legally liable for anything.
Yeah, that's correct, Mike and Don. Now, this all started with a sex offender compliance check in which the Bullitt County Sheriff's Office found child pornography on Bailey's computer. Now, sex offender compliance checks are usually fairly routine situations, but this one turned into anything but routine.
So there's no way that it could be refiled, which would go to the court's conclusion that the dismissal is appropriate.
On January 3rd, Judge Lovett Bennett Jr. released convicted sex offender John Bailey from the Bullitt County Jail on bond.
All of the evidence is suppressed, and if there is no additional evidence that's been proffered by the state, the court does have the authority to go one step further and dismiss.
Despite never having a trial, Bailey walked out. A man arrested for allegedly possessing child pornography, essentially a free man. To find out why, we have to go back nearly 13 years. In June 2012, John Bailey was living on probation in Bullitt County after serving 4 years in state prison for a child molestation conviction. The Bullitt County Sheriff's Office checked on the convicted sex offender's apartment.
There was some indication he might have pornography in his possession. There was some media devices, computers and flash drives taken, and then those were searched where there was found child pornography.
Did you have child pornography on your computer?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not that and I've always said that if it was there, I didn't know it was there. So it was not on any saved file, if that answers the question, I guess.
This report, written by then investigator Jared Akins, says 16 videos of child pornography were recovered on Bailey's devices and even more still images.
You say that you don't know how it would have gotten there. Do you have any theory as to how it would have?
Actually, I don't.
Bailey was arrested and booked into jail. He was indicted on August 6, 2012, and again more than 1 year later on September 9, 2013. A year after that, Bailey entered what's known as an Alford plea. It means he didn't admit guilt, but acknowledged there was enough evidence against him for conviction. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, followed by 20 years on probation. He started serving his time on August 4, 2014, but Bailey requested a new lawyer and filed to withdraw his Alford plea. But he didn't get a hearing on that motion for 3 years. In October 2017, the hearing on the motion to withdraw was finally held, and in December, the motion granted. Bailey should have been immediately removed from prison and taken back to Bullitt County, but that didn't happen until almost 4 years later because, according to a motion filed by Bailey's lawyer, nobody notified the Department of Corrections.
That's by far the most unusual and disturbing part of this case.
John Meixner is an assistant professor of law at the University of Georgia School of Law.
Here, it certainly seems like, at least during large stretches of those times, there weren't good reasons, or there were reasons that were the responsibility of the state, not the defense. And so that can raise problems. But sometimes individual judges are going to disagree on particular aspects.
Bailey was removed from prison in 2021, but in the time he spent waiting to be transferred, he was indicted for a third time. For 2 years, he sat until 2023. Bailey by then was on his third public defender, who in 2024 moved to dismiss the case, citing violations of Bailey's constitutional right to a speedy trial. At that point, he had been behind bars for more than a decade. The motion was denied. Do you feel like your constitutional right to a speedy trial has been violated?
Yes, like again and again and again. And yeah, I said that was definitely one of the bigger issues in the whole situation, because it never should have taken as long as it did.
The argument made by Bailey was not about the length of time they had taken to prosecute, the excessive delays, or even about the child pornography recovered on his computer. It all came down to the legality of the search of his computer 12 years prior. See, as part of Bailey's parole conditions, he did not have a Fourth Amendment waiver, which sex offenders usually do. So when the police came knocking on his door that day, he assumed he had to let them search his laptop. His defense saying that his consent in that situation did not constitute a voluntary search. Judge Bennett agreed that the child pornography was legally obtained and therefore not admissible in court. He granted the motion to suppress the evidence on December 30, 2024, but kept Bailey in jail while the state asked for reconsideration. Even then, when that motion's granted, you weren't released immediately.
Yeah, that was probably the most agonizing part of it, is that knowing that they can't do anything, they can't move forward because they don't have anything, yet they're still stubborn enough to keep me there.
Court's going to release the defendant pending the state's appeal.
Bailey was granted bond. 3 days later, the district attorney's office, led by the newly elected Robert Busby, announced they would not appeal. The announcement came 12 years, 7 months, and 2 days after Bailey's initial arrest. What was your reaction knowing that you had been sitting in jail, in prison for over a decade, based on evidence that wasn't even legally admissible?
Truth be told, at that part of the game, I wasn't surprised. We got granted that motion. It was validation.
Do you feel that the sheriff's department did their due diligence in this case and executed this search legally?
Yes, ma'am. Though the sheriff's office didn't initiate that search, upon the finding of child pornography and whatnot on his computer system, that's where arrest warrants were made. And so the sheriff's office was in full compliance of the law in doing what they did.
Bailey will still have to take part in sex offender compliance checks, as he's still a registered sex offender. Any future violations could send him back to jail. We did reach out to the current Ogeechee Judicial Circuit's District Attorney's Office for comment. A spokesperson referred us to the office's statement announcing that it would not appeal the Bailey decision. Shay Schrader, WTOC Investigates.
Well, if you are interested in learning more about this story, we have more details on our website, WTOC.com. Just click on the Investigates tab.
And a Foley man who faces first-degree sodomy and sexual abuse of a child charges has been extradited to Baldwin County. 37-year-old Marcus Thomas was booked around 12:30 this afternoon with help from U.S. Marshals. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office arrested him last week. Investigators say Thomas sexually assaulted a child throughout last year. And after interviewing the victim, along with evidence collected, an arrest warrant was issued. Thomas confessed to the crime and is being held on no bond, according to investigators.
A former family medicine doctor with CHI Health in Lincoln is in custody after being accused of distributing child pornography. Federal prosecutors charged Jacob Smith with 1 count of possession of child pornography and distribution of child pornography last week. The charges come with a maximum of 40 years in federal prison. The complaint in the case has been sealed, but a hearing shed light on the specifics detailed in the complaint. The government alleged Smith spoke with an undercover agent sometime in recent months. During those conversations, prosecutors said Smith expressed interest in sexually assaulting both a 1-year-old girl and 3-year-old boy. He also shared files of child pornography with another person in the hopes of receiving more pornography in return, the government claimed. A search warrant was filed for Smith's home later in January, and authorities seized multiple electronic devices. Prosecutors said that a search of just one of Smith's phones turned up over 100 files of child pornography. The government said the majority of Smith's devices have yet to be searched. An agent familiar with the case testified that Smith used an app to speak with pedophiles while he was working as a family medicine doctor with CHI Health in Lincoln. Although prosecutors said Smith likely worked with children, they didn't find any evidence Smith had personally abused anyone. 1011 News has reached out to CHI Health for confirmation on Smith's employment status and a statement, but did not receive immediate comment. CHI Health's provider search, however, does not list Smith as a physician with the healthcare provider. Court records show Smith was remanded to the custody of the U.S. Marshal Service and lodged in the Saline County Jail. A future hearing for Smith has yet to be scheduled. There is no parole in the federal justice system.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.
This morning, an Evansville teenager is in jail and charged with rape and child molesting. Police say the 18-year-old victim told them that this man, 18-year-old Winsley Demosthenes, was having sex with a 13-year-old girl when he wanted to switch and have sex with the 18-year-old. Now, the victim told police he didn't want to have sex with him, but she says he ignored her. Now, police say after several minutes of forced contact, the victim was finally able to get Winsley off of her. He's now being held in the Vanderburgh County Jail without bond.
And one person at a Camp Lejeune Marine has been charged with multiple child sex crimes. After the child was interviewed, deputies say detectives identified 22-year-old Zane Melton as the suspect. Last Friday, Melton was interviewed with help from the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. On Wednesday, deputies say they got warrants for his arrest and took him into custody. He is charged with statutory rape of a child younger than 15, felony statutory sex offense with a child younger than 15, and felony indecent liberties with a child. Melton was given an $800,000 secured bond and is in the Onslow County Jail. The case began in September after the Onslow County Department of Social Services reported that a child was sexually abused. Deputies say the investigation is ongoing as they continue to review evidence.
Now with breaking news.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frances Weller.
And I'm John Evans. We continue to follow that breaking news. A woman facing 80 child sex crimes charges tonight. Authorities arrested Sarah Sellers in Brunswick County, where she remains in jail at this hour. WECT's J.C. Caldwell following that story tonight for us. Now, J.C., unfortunately, we cover crimes like this all the time, but 80 charges, that's a lot.
Yeah, it certainly is a lot, John. And investigators say though these crimes happened over a period of several years, they also include more than one victim. Those 80 charges Sellers is facing include everything from indecent liberties with a child to statutory rape with a child under 15. Arrest warrants show those alleged crimes happened between 2018 to 2021, but deputies are still looking into the possibility there could be more victims. Sellers also made her first appearance in court today. She didn't say a word as the judge read out those charges against her, but it was clear she was visibly upset. John?
Well, where does the case go from after this first appearance today, J.C.?
Well, we know she'll be back in court on February 27th. Her attorney also asked for a reduced bond, but the judge denied that request and kept it at $2 million.
All right, J.C. Caldwell tonight live. J.C., thanks.
Well, this man you see here, Victor Rodriguez, is facing child solicitation by computer charges. The Baldwin County Sheriff's Office says the parents of a 14-year-old girl alerted them. The Sheriff's Office says the parents told investigators their daughter and Rodriguez had been communicating. Investigators say those conversations were sexual in nature. Deputies arrested Rodriguez yesterday. He's since been released.
In a TV 20 News update, a Live Oak man is facing more than 70 new felony charges after his arrest during an undercover operation by Lake City police officers. Investigators say 27-year-old Herminio Perez has 72 charges added to his record, including child exploitation after trying to meet up with a minor. In December, Perez arranged a meeting, according to police, with a child, which though turned out to be an Alachua County Sheriff's deputies.
Also out of Lafayette Parish, a wanted man who detectives say is suspected child predator has been arrested. According to deputies with the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office, 30-year-old Rondell Williams, also known as DZ, Big DZ, or Bryson Bruno, is being charged with 5 counts of pornography involving juveniles and 3 counts of carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Williams was booked into the Lafayette Parish Jail. No bond details were released.
I'm Epiphany Lachey, your neighborhood reporter in Kempner. An arrest was made on Friday that left 2 suspects with charges of sexual assault and child pornography. The city of Kempner has less than 1,300 people living within the town. But on Friday, multiple agencies, including Texas DPS Human Trafficking Division and the Office of Texas Attorney General, issued a search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation into sexual assault of a child. According to the press release, the investigation started by focusing on Sean Johnson and uncovered more evidence of criminal activities. Law enforcement arrested Raven Lee Dunbar of Killeen and Waylon Brent of Kempner on charges related to child pornography and sexual assault to a child. The mayor of Kempner had no comment on camera. Neighbors didn't either, but said it's sad and scary to know that this is happening in their city. On Facebook, many are wondering why, voicing safety concerns so close to home. And this is still an active investigation. If you know of any information, you are encouraged to call the Kempner Police Office. Reporting in Kempner, I'm Epiphany Lachey.
A Katy woman is behind bars today. Court documents say one of her children passed a friend a note asking for police to be called.
Well, the child would go on to accuse the mother of some horrific abuse. ABC 13's Liliana Pearson is live outside the Harris County Jail with what we know so far about the case. Liliana.
Yeah, right now what we know from court records is that Ebony Gonzalez is accused of first beating and then threatening her children. From those court documents, we've learned one of those child was so scared they passed a note to a friend asking them to call police. Gonzalez, we know, was arrested on Wednesday. Court records say Gonzalez found tissue on the floor of their home. None of the children would say who left it there. We're told that's when Gonzalez struck the 2 11-year-olds, the 8-year-old, and the 6-year-old.
Or the defendant beat her 4 children with a dog leash, turned on the stove, and threatened to burn their hair.
Sorry. And we're told after that is when one of the children got a note from a friend asking police to be called. Katy police alongside CPS right now, we're told, are investigating, and Gonzalez right now is in jail. We have learned from prosecutors that Gonzalez's children are staying with her mother. Outside the Harris County Jail, I'm Liliana Pearson, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, we've got new developments this morning from Blount County. The Blount County Sheriff's Office concluded an undercover sting operation targeting sexual predators who prey on children online. We've confirmed now that 6 men have been arrested on human trafficking charges, including an assistant basketball coach at a minor high school. No actual children were used as part of the undercover sting operation, but the Sheriff's Office Facebook page did report that the men spoke with undercover agents and told officers they were meeting a child to perform sexual acts for money. The suspects traveled to a location that they agreed upon where they believed the act was actually happening, and that's where they were placed under arrest. Deputies in Blount County arrested Christopher James Thompson on Wednesday, and each suspect is charged with first-degree human trafficking, traveling to meet a child for sex, and electronic solicitation of a child. The Jefferson County school system says Thompson is now on administrative leave.
Mother from Pontiac under arrest tonight after her 3 kids are found living alone in deplorable conditions. Good evening, everyone. I'm Terrell Bailey, and thanks for joining us tonight. The home the children were found in didn't have working bathrooms. Now, the sheriff's office says in the home, trash had piled up 4 feet high. Our Heath Cal spoke with investigators to find out how did this happen. Now, we do want to warn you, some of the images you're about to see could be disturbing.
Well, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard spoke to me earlier today and told me he has never encountered a situation like this before throughout his entire career, where children have been abandoned and left alone in such terrible conditions for over 4 years.
They basically were locked in a home without anybody knowing they were there and surviving in conditions that, animal rights and animal welfare wouldn't tolerate.
After a landlord on the 600 block of Lydia Lane in Pontiac called deputies Friday after not hearing from the mother and owner of this townhome for months, deputies inspected the residence and found 3 children, a 15-year-old boy, a 13-year-old girl, and a 12-year-old girl, alone and abandoned.
Years. They had not been in school. Years. They had not seen other adults. The girls haven't seen, the young girls hadn't seen their mother for a number of years. And, they're sleeping on pizza boxes on the floor.
These are the images the sheriff's office released of inside the home, where they reported seeing mold and human waste throughout, garbage piled as high as 4 feet in some rooms, and an overflowing toilet. I spoke to a woman who lives in the neighborhood and is on an HOA subcommittee for the community. She told me her phone was blowing up with people expressing shock and sadness throughout the day.
Everybody's upset. Everybody's upset about it. Like, oh my God, this is right in our neighborhood. How could something like this happen? These children, how could people go living every day and not see something like this and report it sooner?
The 3 children were reportedly wearing soiled clothing and had matted hair and toenails that were several inches long when found. They were taken to the hospital for evaluation Friday and have since been placed in the custody of a relative by Child Protective Services. Now, as the investigation begins, there are a lot of unanswered questions that need to be answered, like how any neighbor, Child Protective Services, or the public schools here in Pontiac didn't know about these children or do anything about it over the past few years. For now, here in Pontiac, I'm Heath Kalb, CBS News Detroit.
It all started with a U.S. nonprofit. They warned the Norwegian authorities someone in a district in the outskirts of Oslo had been downloading child abuse material. Local police arrested the man and took his phone. That's where they found images and videos from another person, including some of a child the person said was 2 years old.
They have been writing about sexual abuse of children, like fantasy, but it also seems like it has been physical abuses.
Norway police identified the person as a Canadian man, a Brandon home daycare operator and foster parent, now accused of making child pornography. The Canadian and the Norwegian had been in contact for at least 4 months, they say. The Norwegian authorities warned Canadian police other children may be in danger, leading to the arrest.
This case is special because we have reason to believe that our investigation may have helped to prevent new sexual abuse against children.
We deal with the United States a lot. We deal with the UK a lot.
Gord Olsen from the RCMP's Internet Child Exploitation Unit says they see this kind of collaboration regularly, including during a recent arrest in Newton, Manitoba, involving American partners. Police say perpetrators are getting more tech-savvy, hiding their activities on encrypted messaging platforms. Norwegian police say the men use freely available encrypted services like Kik and Telegram.
It seems that there's a strong lean towards privacy at all costs.
Lloyd Richardson with the Canadian Centre for Child Protection says those kinds of platforms should be doing more to protect children.
There's been a sort of abdication of responsibility on some of these companies for detecting this type of behavior on their services.
The Norwegian man pleaded guilty to possessing abusive material and being complicit in the rape of a child younger than 14. That investigation and the one in Brandon are still ongoing. Arturo Chang, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Man is behind bars after an online tip accused him of storing child pornography. 38-year-old James McElroy now faces 20 counts of child pornography possession after Ocala police officers received a cyber tip reporting he stored multiple files on his device. After receiving a search warrant, investigators discovered the files on his computer and his cell phone inside his home.
A minor basketball coach behind bars arrested on human trafficking charges in Blount County. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm Jarvis Robertson.
And I'm Brittany Decker. On Friday night, our team was the first to report the coach, an elementary school teacher, was placed in handcuffs as part of a larger sting operation. Our WVTM 13's Lisa Crane spoke today with the Blount County Sheriff on what exactly led to Christopher Thompson's arrest and why he feels these sting operations are so important.
33-year-old Christopher Thompson is a teacher and bus driver at UW Clement Elementary. He's also an assistant basketball coach across the street at Minor High. But last week, the Blount County Sheriff says he drove there with $160 he planned to pay a 15-year-old girl for sex. It was part of a 2-day sting operation, but this arrest did not go as planned.
All of a sudden, I heard somebody screaming outside. I didn't do anything. So I rolled up the door, and by the time I got the door up, he's jumping in his vehicle and running, and a police chase ensued for a few miles before they were able to get him into custody.
Deputies arrested Thompson and 5 other men in the sting. They're charged with human trafficking, traveling to meet a child for sex, and electronic solicitation of a child. The sheriff says it was a successful operation.
There's some research out there that shows that for every predator that you catch in one of these sting operations, you save 5-10 kids from being victimized. So we're very thankful for the opportunity to be able to be proactive and to go after people who would prey on our innocent children.
The sheriff says when they learned Thompson was a teacher, coach, and bus driver here in the minor community, they were shocked. But he said it made deputies even more committed to continuing these operations that target child predators.
This is something that gives my deputies an opportunity to actually do what they signed up for, not just to be proactive, but to do things that are protecting young people and the most innocent of victims. And that's really fulfilling to our department.
In Jefferson County, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
And when we reached out to the Jefferson County School District over the weekend, we learned that Thompson had been placed on administrative leave.
8-year-old Ramon Castillo Ruiz from Watsonville has been arrested for child sex abuse at an in-home daycare.
We were able to identify the suspect, and we were able to determine that the suspect lived at the home where the daycare was operating out of.
The investigation started after the victim, now 11 years old, came forward to police.
The victim disclosed that they had been sexually abused when they were between the ages of 4 and 6 at a daycare.
They arrested Castillo Ruiz early Thursday morning.
When the arrest happened, we were able to notify some of the parents who were dropping off their kids at the time.
Police also discovered drugs and firearms in the home. According to the California Department of Social Services, the business license allegedly belongs to his mother, Sylvia Castillo. We knocked on the door to speak with the family, but they refused to comment.
I think it's just very important that if you had a child who went to this daycare, that you please take that moment to talk to your kid, try to find out if anything strange may have happened, or if you suspect anything, just please get in contact with our department.
Detectives believe that there could be more victims out there. They're urging any parent who did send their child to this daycare to please reach out to them. Reporting, I'm Zoe Hunt, KSBW Action News 8.
An 11 breaking news alert to start off with. A Pueblo police officer is resigning following an arrest on child pornography charges. The Pueblo Police Department says Gerardo Mejia was arrested by the FBI with help from the Colorado Springs Police Department yesterday. PPD says Mejia was an officer with their department for 2 years. Mejia is being held in the El Paso County Jail without bond right now. He's expected to see a judge for the first time in this case this afternoon.
Back home now, we're working to find out if the Chattanooga preparatory teacher who was arrested for sexual exploitation of a minor is still employed with that school.
Now, Chattanooga Prep has not commented on the employment status of Kenya White. On social media, parents of some of the students are expressing concern, in particular that White was employed while under investigation.
Local 3's Xavier Harris contacted a child advocacy center to learn warning signs for which parents should be on the lookout. Xavier?
David Gregg, those parents' concerns, they are valid. Take a look at these staggering numbers behind me. Now, Psychology Today highlights about 10% of students will experience educator sexual misconduct by the time they graduate. And 17% of students have experienced educator misconduct. Now, that's an increase from the 9.6 reported by the U.S. Department of Education. You can see that stat down there below. Now, today I spoke with the executive director of Children Advocacy Center, Anthony Dye, who says it's important parents have that uncomfortable conversation with their child.
So it's always good to have open communication with your kids in regard to who they're hanging around with and who they're having relationships with.
Anthony Dye with the Child Advocacy Center says that conversation with your child can save their life. While employed at Eastlake Academy in 2023, Kenya White was under investigation for multiple counts of solicitation of a minor by electronic means.
Online predators use social media. They also use gaming platforms. They also use chat rooms and things like that. So it's really just about monitoring what your kids do online. Check your kids' phones. You know, make it a priority.
The Chattanooga Police Department says they are actively investigating if there could be more victims of White, because while under investigation, he was hired at Chattanooga Prep as their guided reading 6th grade teacher. Parents have expressed concern for their students about the possibility of him being able to exploit more minors. Dye says it's important for parents to look for signs of grooming.
Some of the warning signs may just be that they're so caught up in this one person. They only spend time talking about this one person or spending time with that person. It may be that they're getting special gifts.
He also urges parents to talk to their kids about what's acceptable to post online and the dangers that exist in the digital world.
Talk to your kids about what it's okay to post online, some of the dangers that are out there.
Now, multiple teams worked together to obtain digital forensic evidence to successfully lead to an indictment of Kenyon White in February of 2025. Now, White was arrested on 12 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor by electronic means, solicitation of a minor, and kidnapping. CPD says they believe there could be more victims, and they're asking parents to speak with their child to find out if they were victims, and if so, call the number at the bottom of your screen. David.
Crimes against children, some of the most heinous ones, are facilitated by technology. Tonight, the I-Team with exclusive access to a recently enhanced investigations lab in Chicago, where undercover Secret Service agents are working to stop sexual exploitation of children.
You hear about this stuff, but then you see how real it actually is.
Tucked deep inside Chicago's Secret Service field office, special agents are plotting their next operation to get a child predator off the streets.
Here we have our standard evidence kit.
New equipment was just added to this dedicated investigations lab.
Technology is getting broader every day, more intricate, more complex.
Zoe is working undercover, part of the Internet Crimes Against Children, or ICAC, task force. We're not using her last name or showing her face because the Secret Service says it could impede their investigations.
So it's really diving into that undercover capacity.
The Secret Service is one of many federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies that make up the ICAC program. It was developed in 1998 to deal with the increasing number of children and teens being abused online. They investigate tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
I had to learn quickly how to handle seeing the information myself, or seeing the content. Someone reports an instance of possible child pornography. And from then on, you are to verify whether it's child porn, and then you start your investigation.
Unfortunately, we've had people that sell their own children for this and take inappropriate photos of their children and then send them out throughout the internet.
Matt supervises the Secret Service's Chicago team and is currently leading an undercover sting operation.
This morning I was here at 3 o'clock doing an operation plan because I couldn't sleep because I was excited to get this guy off the street.
Inside the lab, agents are using technology to gather evidence by analyzing devices, tracking digital footprints, and recovering deleted data.
The agents work very hard beyond your normal 9 to 5 to investigate these cases. We're protecting the most vulnerable in our society, and these are children that can't protect themselves.
We're going in the devil's lair here. We see a lot of individuals luring children on social media. They'll target those type of people there and then start engaging them in conversation. To then either try to meet up with them for some illicit reason.
In 2022, ICAC task forces reviewed more than 1.5 million reports of child exploitation nationwide. Their investigations led to nearly 11,000 arrests during the last fiscal year, a total of 130,000 over the past 2.5 decades.
We've traveled out of state to get individuals, locate them, and then arrest them.
Bruce Claver of Glenview is charged with 12 counts of possessing child pornography. Claver pleaded not guilty and is back in court tomorrow. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force helped Glenview police with the investigation. Agents telling the I-Team the work they do can be emotionally exhausting.
I luckily just have been able to talk through it and kind of set some boundaries for myself. You can take that mental health break to recover.
You see so much of the evil and the bad of society. Normal people don't look at this stuff. Normal people don't deal with this stuff there. Am I glad I'm doing it? Yes. But it does wear on you.
Agents volunteer to work on the task force and can step back from that work at any time if it becomes too much.
I think it's absolutely an incredible mission to safeguard our children.
Investigators sharing this advice for parents.
Talk to your children about the dangers that are out there.
Trust your children, but also trust but verify. What are you doing? Who are you on the phone with? Who are you talking to on social media? But the biggest thing is have those difficult conversations with your children.
The $40 million per year program is partially funded by the Department of Justice. ICAC trained 70,000 plus law enforcement officers and prosecutors last year on the latest techniques to investigate child exploitation cases.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
One of two Sheboygan County teens charged with child sex assault and incest was in court today. He faces additional sexual assault charges in Ozaukee County. Christina Menzel is in the studio with us with more on that investigation.
Ted, 17-year-old Cole Gutman is charged as an adult in both Sheboygan and Ozaukee County. We first told you about the Sheboygan charges last night, where he and another teen are accused of forcing two brothers to perform sexual acts on one another. He was in court today for that case, but about a week after those charges were filed, prosecutors charged him in another case.
State of Wisconsin versus Cole Gutman.
17-year-old Cole Gutman sits in front of a Sheboygan County judge Monday. In this case, he is charged with several felonies for a sexual assault prosecutors say happened in April 2023. 16-year-old Spencer Dietrich is also charged in the case. Both are charged as adults with first and second-degree child sexual assault and incest as party to a crime. Gutman's defense attorney says it has not had any offer from the state like a plea deal yet. The investigation started after prosecutors say an explicit video was going around the Random Lake School District last year. Prosecutors say one of the victims told his mom while he was playing at Gutman's house, Gutman and Dietrich forced one of the victims to give oral sex to his brother with the threat of violence, and one of the victims was punched. Investigators say the alleged assault was videotaped. A parent sent Fox 6 this video of Gutman's arrest on school grounds last March. Gutman is charged in an unrelated case in Ozaukee County from an incident prosecutors say happened in the summer of 2020. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree child sexual assault with a person under the age of 13. Prosecutors say a victim, who was 10 at the time, described a number of occasions she was abused by Cole Gutman. He'll be in court March 6th for that case. Today, both the defense and state told me that they are meeting this week to try to come to a resolution or a plea agreement, and that Gutman will be back in court for that Sheboygan case on Thursday.
2 quick questions. Are they in jail? And what about Spencer Dietrich? Where's his case now?
Yeah, so both of those teens charged are under house arrest right now. And then Dietrich will be back in court for his Sheboygan County case in March for a final pretrial date.
All right, disturbing details there. Christina, thank you for that.
Let's go to the case, people, versus James. Is it Valkapour?
Yes, ready, Judge. Good morning, Your Honor. Marie Tanha, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. May it please this most honorable court, Nicole Casca. I am co-counsel with Scott Weinberg on behalf of Mr. Valkapour. Mr. Valkapour is in the jail. Can you please state your full name for the record? Nice and loud.
James Daniel Valkapour.
Okay. And you're requesting an adjournment.
Yes, Judge. It has come to our attention that after discussions with the detective on the case, that there is video discovery that's outstanding. I believe the people have not even seen it yet, nor do they have it in their possession. So we do need that in order to have discovery complete.
Your Honor, to clarify, I did speak to counsel this morning. There is video that normally would go out in our usual way through evidence.com. We suspect that there may have been some of the CSAM uploaded, hopefully not, but we want to make sure that's not the case. So I'm looking into that. And once I have confirmation that there's no CSAM part of that material, we'll make sure that counsel gets that discovered.
All right. Couple weeks or?
At least a couple of weeks, please.
At least a couple of weeks. Is this the only thing holding him?
Yes.
So,
yes, Judge. He has no other contacts. He's not on probation or parole to anyone. He's got no criminal contact. His parents are in the audience. They've been here all morning since 9 o'clock.
Well, so have I.
Yes, you have, Judge.
Okay. So I don't know what that
Your Honor,
means to me.
may I, since we're talking about moving towards talking about bond.
Yes, go ahead.
Your Honor, I did receive the motion, I believe it was yesterday, so I haven't filed a written response. But if the court would like me to address it, I can.
Yes, if you can.
Your Honor, I was at defendant's arraignment. This is a very concerning case. I will agree that there's no criminal history that we know of. However, I think as we all know, I don't think you escalate to this type of behavior just kind of overnight. To give some additional background that's not necessarily in all the paperwork, this is a matter where not only was there CSAM, and when I'm saying CSAM, we're talking about children involved as young as 18 to 24 months estimated on videos that are associated with this defendant with his account. We're not claiming that he did the videos, but there are certainly adult males who are doing things to 18 to 24-month-old children that he apparently has an interest in viewing and saving, and there are multiple videos associated with his account. In addition to the CSAM that was found, and I don't think it's necessary for me to go into the specifics of those, in addition to that, he's been in communication with an underage minor who is out of this country, not in this country. That communication is not only of a romantic nature, if you want to call it that, but also of a sexual one, to the point where he sent nude pictures of himself to this minor, asked her to send nude pictures of herself, talked about masturbating to the thoughts of this minor. She reminds him that she is a minor, she's 13 years old, that this is not okay. She broke up with him, again, if you want to call it that, try to end all of this. He threatened to expose her. I'm not sure exactly what, but he mentions a selfie that he would expose. Makes her essentially submit to him completely, say certain things, do certain things, or he will expose her. She keeps asking him to stop. I think at some point there's talk about the legality of things. He says, it's not illegal because I'm not doing anything to you sexually. He also says something to the effect of, I'm not going to get in trouble, and you don't have the balls to get me in trouble. Unfortunately for him, I do have balls to get him in trouble. That is not acceptable. We are not going to stand for that. I think the bond is more than appropriate in this case. I have grave concerns that not only was this CSAM, it escalated to these interactions with a minor who luckily was not physically in his presence. I have very little doubt that he would escalate to physical contact if he was given the opportunity to do so.
Judge, if I may.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Judge, my client is 20. He is a junior at University of Michigan. He was doing extremely well. He was arrested, I believe, either on the 3rd of February or the 4th on campus in front of his fellow peers. Judge, with regards to those allegations, what was not relayed to the court is that this came from a tipster from the state of Minnesota who goes and gives information about something happening on the same Discord, this is going on the Discord app that he was on, and in those same chat rooms. And the issue is that we do not have, I think the people are going to have some issues proving that, one, this person in Germany or wherever they are allegedly is in fact a real person, and they're not, and that they are a minor. Second, we have, these are allegations. I know they're very serious allegations. My client understands that, so does his family. That being said, he is not a flight risk. We're asking the court, the bond is currently set at $250,000 cash. We're asking for something.
I'm trying to figure out if half of what the prosecutor is saying, why it's set so low, quite frankly. But you can go on.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, we are requesting a lower bond in this amount, 10%, so that family can post. They are here. They have no issues, and they do plan on going to court with him for all court dates, for any other evaluations or anything else that needs to be done on this case, making all appointments. He's not a flight risk. Judge, we're asking for something lower so that we can be able to go and get him out, so that maybe he can in fact finish the semester that he has online with U of M. He has no prior criminal record, Judge, no juvenile adjudications, nothing of anything of this nature, anything assaultive. But these are allegations at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, but very serious ones.
Of course. And I know this court takes it very seriously, as do we. But we're also asking for justice to also be administered in a way so that Mr. Valcafor can have an opportunity to be able to defend against these charges with his counsel.
Anything else? Motion for bond reduction. I won't raise it. I'll leave it where it is. I'm not going to reduce it given the nature of the allegations as well as what I see here. So motion for bond reduction tonight. His bond will continue. I'll adjourn the probable cause conference. I'll go out to the 6th and hopefully they can get all of that to you by that time.
Thank you.
March 6th, Judge?
Yes, March 6th, 9 a.m. So please.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valcafor.
Well, tonight at 6, CMPD is looking into claims of sexual assault on a 3-year-old boy. This happened apparently at a Charlotte daycare. A police report shows it happened at the address of Castle's Daycare on East W.T. Harris Boulevard, to be specific. WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker has spent the day digging into this case.
The police report only details so much information, but we have learned the most recent inspection by the state on the Castle's Daycare Academy. It shows 13 separate violations. According to a police report, CMPD was made aware of an alleged assault that happened between January 10th and February 15th at a daycare. WCNC Charlotte driving to that address Monday, finding Castle's Daycare Academy. The report goes on to say the victim is a 3-year-old boy and he was allegedly sexually assaulted. Outside, cars filled the parking lot and people were walking in and out of the facility. I called the daycare asking to speak to the owner. The woman on the phone denying the allegations, calling it a lie. The woman also saying the accused staff member has been with the company for a year, and when asked if they are still employed at Castle's Daycare Academy, she said no comment. She added the child has been enrolled with them for 6 months and has not been back since February 3rd. According to NCDHHS, Castle's Daycare Academy is an accredited daycare and its last inspection was in August of last year. That inspection, however, shows 13 total violations. We should note, none of these violations are related to sexual assault, but some do point to the possibility of putting a child into a potentially dangerous environment. For example, the daycare cited for employees not reviewing policy regarding shaken baby syndrome and abuse head trauma. It was also in violation of not providing a safe environment, indoors and outdoors, for the children. It also documents having a toxic plant accessible to children, and the inspection noted fire drills were not practiced monthly. Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
This video contains content that may be confronting.
Gerald Francis Ridsdale was convicted of more than 130 counts relating to the abuse of children. The laicized priest spent the last 3 decades of his life in jail after years of perversion and deceit.
Hiding things, cover up. That's what I was doing all the time, all my life.
Ridsdale was born in central Victoria in 1934 and attended a seminary in the state in his early 20s. His first known victims date back to this time. At 26, he was made a priest. The first complaint was made against him in the 1960s, and so began the church's relocation of him from school to school across the state. Countless children suffered.
I don't know how many, I can't remember how many.
Church leaders later criticised a decision by then Bishop Ronald Mulcairns to keep moving Ridsdale from parish to parish, even after being made aware of allegations against him in the 1970s.
It proved to be a terrible mistake, and I accept that fully.
Tragic consequences too.
Tragic consequences, so a terrible mistake on behalf of Bishop Mulcairns.
Ridsdale first faced charges in 1993. He was accompanied to court by George Pell. He was jailed later that year and offences continued to come to light while he was behind bars.
In 2015, Ridsdale appeared via video link to give evidence to the Royal Commission into child sex abuse within religious organisations. It left survivors and their advocates reeling.
It's like a final kick in the guts, a twist of the knife for survivors and their families.
And I have more questions in my head than any answers.
It was really good to see the screen go blank. It was really good to see him disappear, to see the lie stop, to see the cover-up stop, to hear just his rubbish, his absolute lying and refusing to take responsibility for such terrible crimes.
The Royal Commission found Cardinal George Pell knew about Ridsdale's offending back in 1982, something the Cardinal denied. In 2018, some survivors of Ridsdale's abuse successfully sued the Catholic Diocese of Ballarat, along with 2 bishops, for their negligence. The Royal Commission found Ridsdale's victims likely stretched into the hundreds.
If you or anyone you know was affected by this video, please contact Beyond Blue on 1300 224 636 or Lifeline on 13 11 14.
Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
One for Rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report abuse at end-violence.org/protect.